What up? I'm back. I hope you loved that intro, Mr. Neary. I know you a big Weezer fan. I know you like Weezer. Alright, and this is a section 4 video. Let's get in it. Alright, I'm gonna start off by talking to you about marginal propensity to consume and consumption function. Alrighty. Marginal propensity to consume, also known as MPC. This is the ratio of the change in consumption to the change in disposable income. A marginal propensity to consume of 0.8 tells us that an additional $100 in take-home pay will lead to an additional $80 consumed. Alright, Mr. Neary, right now you may be asking yourself, now what would shift the consumption function? I'm going to tell you. Changes in disposable personal income causes movements along this curve. They do not shift the curve. The curve shifts when the determinants of consumption change. Example of this it would be changes that could shift the consumption function are changes in real wealth and changes in expectations. Now I'm going to talk to you, Mr. Neary, about planned investment and unplanned investment. And now I'm going to describe one condition that usually results in an increase in planned investment. An example of this would be an expectation of future profits, which would increase, and an unplanned would be unexpected sales at like a higher price. Now I'm going to talk to you about MPC. The question is, would an increase in marginal propensity to consume, MPC, cause the multiplier to increase or decrease? My answer to this would be increase. This is because as the MPC gets larger, the multiplier also gets larger. Okay, let's talk about aggregate demand. Right now I'm going to explain one reason why a lower price level results in a greater quantity of real GDP demanded. This is because at a lower price level, people are more inclined to go out and purchase goods. An increase in expected future inflation would shift the aggregate demand curve to the right, because when people are confident in the economy and they are confident they will make money, they are going out and they're going to invest, and this is going to in turn shift the demand curve to the right. A decrease in foreign income would shift the aggregate demand to the left, because this would be resulting in less GDP for the US. I'm going to talk to you more about aggregate price level and GDP. When there is an increase in aggregate price level, this results in an increase of quantity of real GDP supplied. This is because when the price level goes up, people are less inclined to purchase the good, and this will result in GDP rising, the supply of GDP. Okay, one change that would cause SRAS to shift to the right would be a decrease in wages, or an increase in physical capital stock, or an advancement in technology. That's actually 3 reasons, so you're welcome. Let's talk about long-run aggregate supply. Changes in production resources that attribute to the increase in potential output are stuff like new technology and new ways to produce more goods that will in turn produce more output or increase the potential output. Alright, let's talk about short run equilibrium. If the aggregate price level were below the equilibrium, would a shortage or surplus occur? My answer is a shortage would occur. And next is how would the equilibrium price level at an output be affected if the aggregate demand shifts to the left? Alright, question is how would the equilibrium price level and output be affected if the aggregate demand shifts to the left? Well, if the aggregate demand shifts to the left, this can mean a few things, like there is a decline in investment spending, or a decline in expected returns. So I believe that the equilibrium price will go down and GDP demand will go up. Alright, now let's talk about the recessionary gap. Okay, at any time that real GDP and price level are determined by the intersection of the aggregate demand in the short run, aggregate supply curves. If employment is below the natural level of employment, real GDP will be below the potential. Okay. When GDP is greater than the potential, this is an inflationary gap. This will cause prices to rise in the long run. Ultimately, in the long run, wages will rise as workers seek to restore the lost purchasing power they have. Let's talk about discretionary fiscal policy. The government would increase their spending to combat the recessionary gap. This is because this would increase real GDP and force price level to go up in the short run. The government at the same time would decrease taxes to combat the inflationary gap. This would be to maybe encourage investment and spending. Alright, missionary, we're back. A little change in venue, but that's not stopping the drop from dropping. Alright, right now we're going to talk about the discretionary fiscal policy. Alright, the change in GDP. Alright, that's what we're talking about. Alright, the multiplier is found by you put 1 over divided by 1 minus 0.8. This equals 1 over 0.2, and this equals 5. That's how you find the multiplier. After that, you do change in GDP times the multiplier equals the change in GDP. So you have plus 200 times 5 equals 1,000. Okay. Change in GDP times the multiplier equals GDP. In this action, we have to take into mind the amount of money people are going to want to save. So we decide how much income to give if they want to save 20%, and 250 more income. So when they save 50, they will spend 200. So you do 200 times 5 equals 1,000. Okay, you just guided me to the 21B notes, and I'm going to talk to you about automatic stabilizers. Okay, 2 automatic stabilizers that work to counter the effects of the recession are taxes and transfer payments. Tax rates are an increase in GDP, and they increase household incomes. And transfer payments, fewer people receive unemployment benefits in times of expansion. And these are 2 automatic stabilizers. Mr. Neary, another good video in the works, man. Another good video. That was it. Section 4. That's over. Peace out, man. Take it easy.